Bill. He fishes bass tournaments with his dad, which is cool, and his friends, and he's got a fishing partner. He's going to talk to us a little bit about his favorite lures to use. So let's put your hands together for Elijah Miller. Dad better be recording this.
Alright, how you guys doing today?
Good.
Alright, so I'm going to start by showing out how you use a drop shot and how it kind of works underwater and my gear that I personally use. So this is a purple curly tail robo worm. I have 8-pound strand on this on a Team Daiwa rod and a Shimano Curado. What I normally just do is I just lift up the rod, kind of have a feel for it, just drag it on the bottom, kind of bounce it so that tail kind of waves and simulates a shad kind of dying and stuff. So what I like to do is I let it sink out there, just drag it off the bottom, and let it kind of do its magic down there. So a lot of people, they sit there and bounce their drop shots. What I like doing is I just lift up the rod a little, kind of have it dart around like a shad. I mostly fish it vertical, but if I'm trying to get into like a little cubby or something that I think that a drop shot would work good at, I kind of somewhat flip it in there. I just work it right off the bottom.
What size hook are you using, Elijah?
I use 4/0 drop shot hooks.
There you go. Whose brand? What manufacturer?
Gamakatsu.
There you go. And you fish that same worm all the time, all year long?
Not all year long. I use purple mostly in the summer, and then I have like a brown one that I use any other time. I just kind of switch it up every once in a while. Green pumpkin works a lot, depending on what body of water that you're fishing in.
And you throw it on a casting rod most of the time?
I do. I know a lot of people that throw spinning rods for drop shots because it's easier. To me, I like using a lot of lighter tip rods so I can actually feel that lifting up off the bottom, because I'm not using super heavy weights. I use 1/4 ounce weights with a rattle in them, drop shot weights, get at Copes here in Bakersfield, and I just lift it off the bottom. I could really feel for it whenever I have a lighter rod.
Cool.
So moving on to the darter head, I use Zoom trick worms, Green Pumpkin Magic with a little 1/4 ounce ball head. I have a Daiwa Sweep Fire rod reel, and then a Daiwa Laguna. It's a 7'1" medium light, and those medium lights really have softer tips, so you can really feel for that on the bottom. So what I do is I just let that sink and then just bounce it off the bottom. It'll look like a worm just sitting there trying to get air. With that lighter tip, you can really feel the lighter weight kind of bounce off the bottom.
Now you see why he cut his hooks off.
Yeah.
These fish, it's their 3rd day in the tank, and they'll eat a booger on a hook, honestly. So we try to take care of those fish. We want the extra holes in them. We want them to go back as healthy as they can. See, that fish there without a hook in it, he can just pull on it and usually shake it up loose. But we don't want to injure the fish.
Cut the hooks off so it doesn't hurt the fish. Is there a lot of fish messing with it?
They're coming to it. This little bass, he says, I'll eat it if nobody else will. The bluegill will chase it, the trout will chase it. They're been kind of shook up over that scuba diver, but all in all, it's you'll notice that they'll start eating anything you put in there right now. They're, like I said, it's their 3rd day. They go home tonight. So you can see fishing in this tank can be very easy, honestly.
Especially with them crappie, you get a good dinner.
Yeah.
You notice the bluegill kind of hang back because they're kind of looks like they got a McDonald's logo on them right now because these big bass they'll get after those bluegill. Same with those trout. Those trout aren't destined to be here too long if they stay in this tank another day. What else you got up there, brother?
I got a brush hog, more zoom. I really like zoom. I like the texture and how flexible zooms are. On a football head, a 1/4 ounce football head. And I really love throwing this at anywhere. Especially during the summer, I think it's like a black and red flake, green pumpkin. So with these, I throw these everywhere. I'm in love with brush hogs. I caught my PB on this brush hog, on the same exact color and everything, and I just love how they feel. They catch plenty of fish at Success, at Clear Lake. They catch plenty of fish as long as you're using it right. You can use it any time of the year. It's just an all-around good bait.
Where'd you catch your personal best?
Clear Lake.
Did you? How big was that?
6.1 pounds.
That's a good fish right there. On a brush hog. In the
Yep.
tulies?
Huh?
In the tulies?
Nope, it was on a seawall.
There you go.
So what I do, I have a heavier rod for these because I'm normally fishing pretty good structure like trees and tulies, and you really need a stronger pull to kind of yank stuff out of there if you need to. And you can see how it falls. You can see all the tentacles and weird things moving around, and it really gets the fish's attention.
Now, do you modify that bait at all?
So what I do is they're quite a bit long, and I don't like how they fit on the hook. So I bite probably, I don't know, an inch, half an inch off the tip of it, and then stick it on there. And the head really seems to stay on there better, and I like how it moves, and the little arms kind of stay up there a little bit better.
Do you ever cut the little arms off and let them just flop?
I personally don't. I mean, I'll sometimes pull it off so that they dangle around, but rare occasions. I usually just bite off the head, so it really is more compact. And I'm using the full-size brush hogs. I've used the baby brush hogs, and those work pretty good. I just feel that sometimes you need kind of a bigger bait, and kind of really represents like represents some type of thing.
Have you found that you use it on Floridas, smallmouth, everything? Have you caught any trout on it? Any other
I've caught bluegill off of it. I've caught tons of largemouth, spots. I've caught plenty of things, and they work all year, and it's a good all-around bait.
So if your personal best came out of Clear Lake, is that your favorite place to fish?
Oh yeah, I love Clear Lake. Clear Lake's it's constant, big fish. 2 casts after I caught that 6.1, I caught a 414, and it was on the same exact brush hog that I caught that 6-pounder on. It was the exact same one. It was all torn up and everything.
Were you able to pattern those fish, figure out why you caught 2 big fish in the same area? Were they pre-spawn fish, you think?
No, it was like, what was it, the middle of summer?
Late October.
Yeah.
Early November.
So they were just buddies hanging out, huh?
Yeah.
There you go.
And I've caught small fish where how I'm wondering how they even swallow that thing. It's insane.
Well, the one thing about them bass, they are aggressive, huh?
Yes, they are. And they just take this thing and absolutely swallow it.
So besides that color, what other colors of brush hogs do you like?
So that's the red flake. I also have, I think it's watermelon magic. Let me see here.
So watermelon red is your go-to.
Yep. Depending on the time of the year, if it's more like crawdads and stuff, then I'll get the red out because that's the time of crawdads, and crawdads are red, of course.
And blue and black.
Yeah. So those are watermelon on red, and then I also have watermelon candy, and watermelon candy works great.
There you go.
So watermelon candy I like throwing more towards like October, September. Whenever it's a little bit colder, I just feel like brighter colors and blues and stuff really work good that time of the year.
So do you ever Carolina rig it?
I haven't yet, but you could use it just the same as you can use a lizard. You could Carolina rig it, you can brass and glass. If you guys know what that is, it's just a little glass bead and a brass bullet weight, and it just makes a clinking sound. And the reason for brass and glass is the clinking sound imitates what a crawdad does, because underwater the crawdads make a clicking sound that attracts the fish. And whenever they hear that, then fish just get turned on.
So when you're up at Clear Lake with your favorite drop shot rig and your brass and glass and your brush hogs, do you ever throw any hard baits like frogs up there or anything?
Oh, yeah. Well, depending on, so with frogs, I most likely throw whenever there's cover, like moss or some nasty stuff on top of the water. That's where the frogs like to hang out. Other hard baits like crankbaits and stuff. I like throwing crankbaits mostly on like rock walls and where there's good structure, where a shad would be swimming and darting around on like points and stuff. I like going like I think it's called like the XD, like the 10-foot divers, or you go from 10 to 15-foot divers. Those things work great. And I just like slow rolling it. I don't really burn that crankbait too hard because it gives more of a chance of a fish to bite that thing. And shallow divers, you could, depending on how deep your fishing is, how deep you want to have a deep diving crankbait. If you have say you have a 30-foot deep diving crankbait, you want to fish 30 foot and above. And say that you have that 30-foot tight on, you're fishing 15 foot of water, you just want to slow roll it. I like a lot of shad colors and crankbaits, like earthy colors and a lot of really good colors, a lot of silvers and blacks and stuff.
But your favorite bait is that in your hand, your go-to bait?
Oh yeah, I love this bait right here.
Well, he's going to come on down now. You folks can take a look at these baits a little closer, and the rods and reels too. He's doing a great job. This young man's the future. I'm sure next year, if he's still into fishing and not girls, he's going to come over and get another seminar or two. So put your hands together for Elijah Miller. So he's going to come down now and show you the baits a little closer. If you'd like to step up and talk to him, give him a second, get his gear down. Dad can get over there and grab his rods. You did a great job, Elijah. First seminar he's ever done. He didn't even crack his voice, didn't foam the tank. He's the man. And of course, there wouldn't be an Elijah Miller fisherman if it wasn't for Mom and Dad, so we really appreciate the parents getting the kids out fishing. We need more of that. They can play on their computers all day long, but get them out in the sun, it's not going to kill them. So turn your mic on, and if anybody has any questions, raise your hand for Elijah. We're going to give him a couple minutes so we can show you the baits, put your hands on them.
Does anyone have any questions? Anyone? Free to answer.
Is there a certain time that you go from a full-size brush hog to a baby brush hog?
So whenever...
Go ahead and repeat that question because we couldn't hear me.
So he said, is there any time that you go from a full-size brush hog to the baby brush hogs? During the winter, whenever they get really petite and decisive on what they want to eat and they like smaller stuff, I like going from the bigger brush hogs to the baby ones. That during the winter you really want to slow down stuff, so I have to fish it super slow, and I have to throw it on a lighter rod because I don't use as heavy as football heads. So anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I got one. How much no boat fee does your dad charge you when you go fishing?
More. I need to charge him more.
Yeah.
He's like a pro now.
What does he charge you? $20, $40 to take you fishing?
He doesn't charge me anything. It's free for family.
Oh man, you got a great deal. You don't have to pay for gas or nothing?
Nope.
How about cheeseburgers?
Not yet.
Nope.
Oh man. No wonder you fish.
I just gotta catch fish.
There you go.
If you guys want to come look at these colors, I have these watermelon reds and watermelon candy brush hogs. I got everything that I was throwing today. I also have the line that I throw normally. Yes.
What line do you throw?
What line do I throw? So, for more petite stuff, like, say this drop shot, I like having 8-pound strand, just monofilament, 8-pound strand on lighter stuff like this. It's, I just feel heavier line than they can really feel. Say that they have that bait inside their mouth, then I feel like the more petite and smaller fish start to feel bigger things in their mouth and they start spitting it out because they don't like it. Heavier stuff like the brush hog, whenever I'm fishing more structure, I like throwing low vis, green, 10-pound or 12-pound. 10-pound I like throwing more so on darter heads because it's a little bit heavier and it takes a little bit more action to use. And 10-pound low vis green strand. I'm a big strand guy. I like how it feels. It lays down super flat, and it's just a good all around line company. And then for more heavier stuff like this, I don't have it with me because I just now relined my pool. I usually use 12-pound strand. For heavier stuff like swim baits, I like 20-pound. Like 20-pound low vis green. I like green quite a bit whenever I'm throwing heavier stuff. I mean, like, they can't really see the line, but in dirtier water, then the green really blends in more than that clear because nothing in that lake's clear. It's just a bunch of brush and moss and nasty stuff. Does anyone else have any questions? I don't charge for questions. Anyone? Yes. 6.1 pound is the biggest fish I've caught. It was at Clear Lake. It was, see that big fish inside here, wherever it went?
There he is.
Right there.
Yeah.
So you talking about
That big fish, it was about 2 pounds smaller than that. Yeah, about 2 pounds smaller than that fish. If you see me after this, I can show you a picture if you want. That was on the watermelon on red brush hogs, full-size brush hogs, not the tiny ones. And all my football heads are hand poured from a guy in Springville, about an hour or two away from here. He does a really good job. He does good hand pours, so I like hand pours more than store-bought. You can get them cheaper and get some whatever color that you want.
Choose your hook.
Huh?
That's how you get to choose your hook.
Yeah, you get to choose your hooks too with us. So you can do whatever type of hooks on whatever type of weight. Anyone else? Questions? Alright.
Okay. Let's give him another big hand. Thank you, Elijah Miller. We'll see you next year when the show starts. We're going to break for about 10 minutes and Rusty Bound will be back up. But this is our future right here. Young men like this coming up and having the nerve to jump up there and do a seminar. I like it.